Welcome to our next session on Unification Principle. I'm your host, Dr. Tyler Hendricks. Our subject today is the dual characteristics of God and the creation. Human beings have tried to solve the fundamental problems of life and the universe, but without success. That was because no one knew the principles by which we and all things were created, nor the origin of the existing world. No one has really known God. So that's what we will talk about. The origin of the existing world, God as the first cause, and the nature of God. How can we know about something that is intangible? Well, just as one can learn of the artist by viewing the work of art, one can learn of God by observing the creation. Accordingly, St. Paul said, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from that which has been made." So people are without excuse if they say they don't know God. Then what is the common sense truth about the creation? Nothing came to exist on its own. Everything came to exist through a reciprocal relationship of dual characteristics that relate like plus and minus. To explain this in terms of human beings, we could look at male and female. Creation also exists of male and female everywhere. Stamen and pistil, positive ions, negative ions, protons, electrons. The union of plus and minus actually makes the multiplication of life possible. Going further, we can learn of another, even more fundamental reciprocal relationship that forms all existence. Every entity has both an internal character and an external form. The internal character, which is invisible, resembles the visible external form. In fact, the external form takes after the internal character. It is the internal character made visible. Together, we call these two dual characteristics. First, to give an example with human beings, with people, the mind makes up internal character, and the body, external form. And the mind, which is invisible, resembles the visible body. Accordingly, the mind is called the internal character, and the body is the essential external form. Even in animals, there are mental and physical parts, internal characteristics, which we call instinct, that gives purpose to the individual animal. And even plants. In plants, there's a plant mind. That's the internal characteristic. And that leads the body of the plant to carry out the organic functions, which we see externally. Furthermore, positive ions and negative ions combine, and no matter what element they form, it is because these two ions have some internal characteristic, something that gives them a purpose to form that particle. And even the forming of an atom with an electron revolving around the proton is because of an internal characteristic that gives purpose for the forming of that atom. According to modern science, the elementary particles that make up atoms consist of pure energy that has the nature of both wave and particle. The particles reflect the essential form, and the waves can be seen as internal nature, internal characteristics. But even energy cannot automatically create matter. There has to be purpose and will, internal values that were there before there was any matter. To form a particle, even the energy has internal characteristics of purpose and design. Going one step further back, even the energy behind the internal characteristics and the essential form, we cannot help but pursue an existence, a positive cause for all forms of beings. This existence is the first cause. It animates all existences with purpose, design, energy, and matter. We call this first cause God, who possesses the original internal character and original essential external form. The commonalities that inhere in the entire world of creation exhibit law, order, and principle. It's because the original being possesses law, order, and principle, as well as energy and purpose. All these are displayed in the creation that we experience every day. The creation developed resembling the attributes of God. The Bible says, the invisible and visible worlds, heaven and earth, were created in God's image. So the commonalities of all things of creation mean that they reflect the properties of God. Therefore, God is the original being, composed of the harmony between original essential character and original essential form, and original essential masculinity and original essential femininity. These we call dual characteristics. This may seem irrelevant, but it's very relevant in that my own existence as a person is based on two things: my mind and my body, and I'm here on this planet because there were a man and a woman, masculine and feminine, who loved each other and made me. So the divine principle brings God into immediate reality. Also from the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, one can clearly learn about what kind of person God is. We read, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.' So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he them. Male and female he created them." This means that God has created man and woman in his image, according to the essential form of male and female, within and between the physical body of man and woman. When you think about this the other way around, God resembles human beings. This is called anthropomorphism. The universal human traits reveal the personality of God. This means God is an entity with intellect, emotion, and will. God, too, is a person with emotions, who is sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes joyful, sometimes longing, and sometimes angry. But beneath it all, God is love. Here, it would be good to briefly compare and contrast the principle of creation with the most fundamental Oriental thought, the I Ching, and its yin and yang philosophy. The I Ching argues that in the fundamental Taeguk, in the universe, there is yin and yang. And in the yin and yang, there are 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. And that all things are made of these 5 elements. Also, with the way to yin and yang is the way to the sky. Now, the Bible in John 1:3 says that all things were created through the Word. Taeguk is a being of harmony between yin and yang, just as God is expressed as a subject of harmony between the dual characteristics of masculinity and femininity, yang and yin, but the I Ching overlooks the fact that all beings are made up not only of yin and yang, but also of internal character and external form, mind and body. Consequently, the driving force of Taeguk does not recognize the fact that God is an entity of intellect, emotion, and will. Therefore, the theory structure that the I Ching provides cannot fathom the teaching that creation has internal character and external form, that the creation contains purpose, goals, and values. Thus, the principle of creation, which includes both positivity and negativity, and internal nature and external form, supplements the Asian philosophy in the I Ching. On the other hand, the biblical teachings, although they state that God created man and woman in his image, look at God as only a masculine being. The principle of creation, reflecting the truth of the I Ching, reveals God as a mother as well as a father. God consists of masculinity and femininity. And so God is revealed as parents. Therefore, God is a God of personality and exists as the God who is Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, our Heavenly Parent. To summarize what was mentioned above, we know that God is the subject made up of the harmony between original essential character and original essential form, while at the same time the harmonious subject of the dual characteristics of original essential masculinity and original essential femininity, and that God exists in the masculine subject position of internal character to the creation as the feminine object partner. Therefore, we call God our Father. For the last century, feminists have blasted Christianity. They say that calling God our Father has led to a history of men dominating and exploiting women. But the principle of creation reveals that there is not just God the Father, there is also God the Mother. God is the parent. Therefore, the principle of creation opens the path to authentic gender equality, as the value of men and women both are actualized in the love of God, who is Father and Mother. As you study this teaching, you will find more about God as the parents, not just God the Father. God's relationship with men and women is that of a parent and child. This is the foundation of truth. God is the true parent of humankind. This includes human dignity, human value, and the nature of the purpose of life. But how can an invisible God exist? Is God just there forever by magic? Or is there some action that explains the presence and power of this invisible creator God? If there is, wouldn't that give us insight into the way the world works and how we can live in balance with it? We will look at this in our next presentation. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.